So what's going on, guys? It is Haye, it's speedboxing. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel before you click on to any of the videos. Also comment below in the comment section if you guys have any opinions on what I'm saying in any of the videos. Like always, it is appreciated if you guys could drop me a quick sub or two on my channel. So I just watched the first press conference for the rematch between David Haye and Tony Bellew. This is the first time the two fighters have been together since their first fight on March the 4th. And this was an interesting press conference, a lot more laid back than the first press conference. David Haye is going in there now in the press conference saying that he rates Tony Bellew and that in the first fight he mentally didn't prepare himself right, but this time in the second fight he's going to do better. But Tony Bellew, like when David Haye was saying that he rated him and stuff like that, Tony Bellew was having none of it. He was absolutely having none of it. He was saying, how are you saying you rate me, but in the last fight and the last build-up you were saying I was the worst world champion in British boxing history. Like, Tony Bellew was having none of it from David Haye. I think Tony Bellew thinks that David Haye is just putting it on and that he's lying, and that could be true because David Haye has told lies in the past. David Haye has came out with a few remarks in the past that have been untrue, and he has backtracked on a few things he said over the years, and I think Tony Bellew has studied David Haye with stuff like that. So I think when David Haye says stuff like he rates Tony Bellew and stuff like that, Tony Bellew's just having none of it. And David Haye saying that this time with Ismail Salas, his new trainer, who's trained guys like Rigondo and Jorge Linares, and the amateur heavyweight Felix Savon, who's probably one of the greatest amateur heavyweights of all time, he's saying that he's going to be better and that he's not going to underestimate Tony Bellew again and stuff like that. And Tony Bellew was saying, well, you was underestimating me the first time around and you'll do it again. Like, I think Tony Bellew thinks that David Haye is still underestimating him and not taking the fight seriously. But all I've got to say is on December 17th, then we'll know if David Haye is taking the fight seriously and if he's took his camp seriously and stuff like that. That's when we'll find out. Because it's okay David Haye saying stuff like, oh, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life and I'm going to do this different and I'm going to make this change. But we're going to see on December 17th if David Haye can back it up, because he said things in the past, David Haye, and hasn't backed it up. So this was a very interesting press conference and a lot more laid back. No one was throwing punches or anything like that. Like, to win this fight, I think David Haye can't look for the knockout. Like, David Haye can't go in there just looking to blast Tony Bellew out. And even Tony Bellew said that. He said in David Haye's mind, he still thinks he's going to go in there and blast me out. But I think if David Haye thinks about it, he needs to really think that he can't just go in there and blast Tony Bellew out. Because it's not like Tony Bellew's got a fantastic chin or anything like that. He has been knocked out in the past. Tony Bellew has been dropped heavily a few times. But Tony Bellew is experienced enough now as a fighter that he can evade somebody like David Haye. He's quicker than David Haye on the move because obviously he's the one moving up from cruiserweight to heavyweight. So he's naturally the quicker man. And David Haye has slowed down over the years. So David Haye, I think he needs to go in there and try and box with Tony Bellew. You know what I mean? Feel him out, like drag him into a chess match and stuff like that. Because I think Tony Bellew will be evasive, but Tony Bellew, he'll want to try and make it a fight for the fans as well. So I think at some point Tony Bellew will engage with David Haye, and I think that will be David Haye's opportunity to try and take Tony Bellew out. So I think David Haye can get the knockout, but he's got to be smart about it. And it'll be interesting to see what him and his trainer, Ismail Salas, come up with. Because Ismail Salas, like I said, is a very experienced trainer, very good trainer. And he's trained some of the greatest fighters of the era and the eras of past. So, very interesting press conference. And we'll find out on December 17th what both fighters have. And I don't know if Tony Bellew will get up for this fight, because Tony Bellew is financially secure. It'll be interesting to see if Tony Bellew comes into the fight as hungry as he did the first time around. But anyway, I'm going to stop waffling on now anyway. It's JM, it's speedboxing.